Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Hi, how's everyone doing? I'm Professor Kaiju, welcome. How's everyone's G-Fest going so far? Good, that's good. It can't be going so well though, you're here after all. Anyway, my name is Bryce, or you can call me by my well-crafted online persona, Professor Kaiju. You can imagine how long it took for me to come up with that one. So, I run a YouTube channel, who doesn't at this point, called Professor Kaiju. And basically it's Kaiju related. I do some like figure unboxings, reviews, and try to do a lot of like Kaiju media stuff, movies and whatnot, and try to make them informative and comedic. Which is what I hope to do today. So, let me ask, is this anyone's first G-Fest? Okay, we got a few. All right. I'm not a veteran by any means. This is my third in a row. First time as a panelist. So, with that, please bear with me. If something goes awry, goes horribly, I am, in fact, recording this, hopefully, but depending on how this goes, I might just throw that camera into the ocean, and it will never see the light of day. So, also with that, you know, I'm trying to get a good, good rapport with G-Fest and the staff here. So, if everyone here could just like leave like a 4-star Yelp review after the panel, I'd really appreciate that. You know, it doesn't have to be elaborate. Just like use some keywords like handsome, informative, amazing, should be paid. I'd really appreciate that.
Out of how many stars?
Out of 5, you know, or 3.5 or something. You know, that's fair too, I think. Anyway, that's enough coercion for one day. So let's get started. So the panel today is Kaiju vs. Parody. Also, please forgive me for my slides if they're not the best in the world. I haven't used PowerPoint since I was in high school. So I also wanted more visuals for this particular panel, but I was having a ton of difficulty getting things out. So I will have some, but not nowhere near as many as I had wished for this particular panel. All right, and talking about the panel today, so that all of you know right ahead of time, you know, whether or not you just want to stay or walk out. Basically, I'm going to be looking at several Kaiju parodies, basically contrasting, comparing, see, you know, how funny they are, at least in my opinion, and giving it back out to you guys. So that's, if you're okay with listening to a man in front of a computer give his own opinion, then I guess just listen to me give my own opinion. All right. So anyway, you know what? I already messed up. I was going to say something joke about my opinion. I have nerves right now.
You're doing
so
great.
Bad. Thank you. All right, that helps. All right, so I know a lot of people will start off, so let's make sure we're all on the same page about what parody is. I know a lot of times when people discuss things, they'll say like, let's start with the whole definition. Thank you, John. The dictionary defines so-and-so as blah, 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 but I feel like that's kind of boring. It's, you know, it's like you're not really trying with your presentation to me. I think it's sad. I think you could do better, you know. The dictionary defines parody as a humorous or satirical imitation of a serious piece of literature or writing. This definition, though, is a little dated since we have movies and films and whatnot. So basically, it's any piece of media that makes fun of another piece of media and exaggerates it, you know, makes fun of it in a crazy, over-the-top way. Most likely, we've all seen it in one form or another. Like you have Jane Austen's original Pride and Prejudice book. Then you have Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies. Another one, probably a little more well known, is like Weird Al Yankovic. You know how he makes fun of songs and different bands. Another group I listen to, Starbomb, where they'll take games and game characters and make fun of those. And probably some movies, some movies that people know, like we've got Naked Gun, Airplane, Hot Shots, Part 2, not Part 1. We don't talk about Part 1. It's punishable by law. Talking about punishments, there's another series of films that a lot more people seem to know, unfortunately. I'm talking about like movies like Scary Movie. Maybe not so much the first one. I think the first one's all right, but you've got the whole family of movies like Epic Movie and Romance Movie, Date Movie and Superhero Movie and Disaster Movie, which had a 1.9 on IMDb. Now, these films, I wouldn't say, it's hard for me to consider them parodies because a lot of them end up just referencing something. It's like, oh, here's Iron Man, but it's like there's no actual joke to it. It's just flipping through things. And that's the theme of today, is just talking about like what these movies did right, what these movies did wrong, at least in my opinion. And that's understanding what parody and comedy is. So just realized my phone didn't update something on here. So okay, all right. So let's just get into it. Let's see what our two specimens are. So we have from 2010, Death Kappa. I know, quite a looker on that one. And the slightly more recent 2016 Kaiju Mono. All right, so let me ask some audience participation here. Who here has seen Death Kappa? Raise of hands. Okay, and who here has seen Kaiju Mono? Great! I mean, it's not, it's horrible that no one's seen it here, so no one knows if I'm saying it's true or not, so, okay. So yeah, looking at both these covers, you might be already kind of judging some things about them, but I assure you that as creepy and as scary as it looks, Kaiju Mono can't hurt you. You have my word on that. So, all right, that's not, I'm sorry, I had a little cliff note thing for myself, and it seems that all the updates I made to it have gone backwards, so. Our first subject, let's just get right into it. Our first subject for today is 2010 Death Kappa. All right, now you'll notice a little something off about our main kaiju here. And I assume that we do have a slightly younger audience, so in case anyone's scared, don't have anyone have any nightmares about that thing. All right. All right. So basically, I'm going to be going through like a brief summary, and then we're going to talk about the strengths and weaknesses. All right. So our story goes like this. And again, I wish I had more visuals to show with this, but just the most insane amount of problems I had trying to get some stuff together. All right, so our main character, Kanako, is returning from her home, returning to her hometown after failing at being a pop star. She is welcomed by several weird and downright terrifying townsfolk who all apparently just seem to be normal people in her town as she acts like there's nothing wrong with them. She walks towards her grandmother and runs into her along a mountainside road. It is then she watches as a bunch of dumb college kids come driving around the corner that literally drive into her grandmother, leaving her on the ground to die. And with her dying words, she welcomes her granddaughter back to her hometown. Right afterwards, they go on this crazy spree and smack a statue right off the side of a cliff. And inside the statues is, inside the little shrine with the statue is this weird-looking thing. It turns out to be our main character, the Kappa. Falls into the ocean, gets rejuvenated by the water. Kaneko comes back home. She has a small funeral for her grandmother, and in her will, she says she wants her to protect the Kappa because it's like a family tradition. And she finds the Kappa a little bit afterwards, and instead of fleeing in terror, she acts like it's just the most cute and adorable thing you could ever imagine. Her and her friends just like go frolicking with it in a field somewhere, and there's just like one of her like crappy pop songs that she did is playing in the background because they're all just like making like a little chain around it and everything. It's very ridiculous. So we are then cut back to the obnoxious college kids as they have like stopped on the beach and are just chilling out when out of nowhere some mysterious creature grabs several of them off screen and takes them out. The last remaining couple get taken by these mysterious men in glasses and just use these like over-the-top tasers that automatically knock them out with one hit. And then jumping back around, we see that that mysterious group of men are now setting up a trap for the Kappa. They've been looking for him. It's thwarted by Kaneko because apparently she has archery skills out of nowhere. And she gets kidnapped instead, where they get taken back to her base, and the main villains are revealed. And this woman, in this over-the-top performance, she's probably the best and possibly worst thing in the entire movie, goes on that they've been continuing the research of her grandfather since World War II. And he created these fishmen hybrids that were going to take over America. They were going to storm America and everything, but the Japanese government was like, that's too inhumane, and stopped it. But she's continued, and now they're going to raise an army of them and return Japan to its imperialistic, back into its imperialist days. It's imperialistic glory. And the several people that they captured from the college students are now being morphed into these fishmen as well. But out of nowhere, the Kappa breaks in and sumo wrestles all of the guards in the building. He gets overpowered by the fishmen. Kaneko goes and charges and destroys the control device controlling them, when the evil woman comes out of nowhere with an atomic bomb out of absolutely nowhere, and decides that if she can't win, she's just going to take them all down with her. This is right before she kisses the skeletal remains of her grandfather. It, like I said, the best and worst thing of the entire movie. She's very hammy and over the top, but so overwhelming explosion happens, or actually it's more underwhelming. Honestly,
Stock footage.
it does look like stock footage. So they jump. There's a big jump of logic here because we see the base get blown up, and we move to a city with this completely unforeseen kaiju, and you kind of have to link everything and say these are apparently the fishmen who have now mutated and fused into this giant kaiju that's attacking Tokyo, which they name Hangulus, like literally out of nowhere. I've actually joked with a friend of mine about the fact that they were so quick on it that we think it might be like how we have hurricanes. Like maybe last time they named a kaiju with a G, and now it's like, it's another kaiju attack. So we're going to H now. Hangulus is the next one up on. So Hangulus comes in and starts attacking. Japanese self-defense force goes in for a while, battling them to no avail. When out of nowhere, the Kappa shows back up again, and in this hilarious over-the-top fight, defeats Hangulus, except now he's in a fury because of the atomic bomb and everything, and starts going on a rampage, and they call him the Death Kappa, and we have our title. And Kaneko, out of nowhere, even though she was in the base, comes back, calming the beast, and finishing our movie. I'm sorry, I really do wish I had more visuals for this. So if you thought that was weird, then you're right. It's a very weird, over-the-top movie at first listen. So, in my opinion, it's a good comedy parody movie, despite what I've heard some people online talk about it. So, let's discuss some strengths about it. Death Cab has like a really over-the-top way of presenting everything in the movie. As you've heard a couple things in there, it's I think it helps with delivering its jokes. It wants its jokes to be like kind of crazy, kind of over the top and everything. But it'll only work if you're into that type of thing, which I am at least. Another thing that I like about it is like the thing is good is the design of the Kappa. It's presented in this super over the top creepy way, yet everyone in the movie treats it as if it's like a cute cuddly mascot, like Hello Kitty character,
Character.
instead of running away screaming from it. Most of the cast seem really into their roles, which help get you through the movie. When you can tell that people don't seem to be like taking their lines seriously, it kind of pulls you out of the movie. And this one, they're not. They all seem to be having a good time. One really cool tidbit is that they got Hideki Anno, famed creator of Neon Genesis Evangelion, director of Shin Godzilla, and Shinji Higuchi, the co-director of Shin Godzilla, who also worked on GMK and the Gamera trilogy, both into the movie. And they both do extremely bit parts in the movie. They last like maybe 5 minutes. And they both get axed off in really over-the-top ways. And I've seen some people complain about that, thinking, why did they have them in this movie? But I think that's the joke. If you're a really big fan of the kaiju genre and you know who they are, it's like, oh my god, that's Hideki Anno, what's he doing here? And then 5 minutes later, he's dead. And it's like, okay. And they all seem to be having a lot of fun with their roles. The sets and props aren't like the best in the world. They're not like as meticulous as some of the older Godzilla movies or other, certain movies. But there's still time and care put into them. There are other props though that aren't as well crafted. There's definitely parts where you can see that they are toys and very visible wires. But that's part of the joke, is that some of those scenes are just really bad looking. And I've seen some people talk about that too, like it feels like a little bit mean to the kaiju genre. But sometimes like comedy, sometimes you have to have like there's going to be a butt of a joke, and it's a parody. So they're they're delving deep into the kaiju lore. And I've seen some movies that I hate that I love, and I'll see like just that glimpse of that wire there, or just a little like vent hole that you can tell on it. And I don't think they mean anything bad by it. They seem to love it. I mean, I don't think they would have put together a movie like that if they didn't actually care about the genre. But as much as I talk about this movie up a bit, it does have its weaknesses. It's not perfect. So I have lost my place. Yes, so let's get into some weaknesses, because I like talking this movie up. It's not perfect. So first off, it takes a while to get to the actual kaiju part. I know it's a kaiju parody, but for a while we're just dealing with like the kappa and everything at normal size. We're just dealing with the people for a while. It does take a while for the kaiju action to build up in the movie. The story is like, as I was saying, it's a bit jumbled. There's a lot of like, it feels really random, which is I think part of the humor, but part of it is there's lots of jumps in logic. Like it's not, you're trying to figure out why is this kaiju here, where did it come from, and some other times like that, which I feel they could have explained a little better. There's other parts of the jokes, there's some jokes in there that go on too long. Like a lot of the times they have a lot of good energy, they'll cut through a joke, and it's like, that's pretty funny, but then it's other ones that just stay for far too long, especially at the end with the fights with the kaiju. There's the Japanese self-defense force attacking Hangulus, and it goes on way too long. Just like constant, like, okay, it's blasting the kaiju over and 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 over again. And there's other parts of it that just overstay their welcome, parts that could have just moved on a little bit faster. My conclusion is that, first panel. My conclusion is that Death Kappa is honestly a solid comedy. and parody, and while it doesn't solely focus on kaiju, it's still a really fun ride, and if you're okay with over-the-top, wacky comment, I say check it out. On the topic of comedy, this next movie is really funny. Funny that someone said okay to this. It's actually part of the reason why I wanted to do this panel in the first place. Kaiju Mono, 2016. So, it's bad. All right. Thank you all for attending my panel. I hope you all had a great time. We'll just wrap it up real early. All right. No, I'm giving its fair shot, unfortunately. So, the plot goes something like this. A group of dumb youngsters filming some paranormal stuff for like a YouTube series or a website go into a mysterious forest where an old man tells them, don't do that. They don't listen. And mysteriously all get killed. And by mysterious, I mean they're all killed by kaiju because it's very obvious. They show it like very plain as day. The next morning, our protagonist, Nita, along with a girl named Miwa, look through the same forest and are scared by the same creepy old man. Creepy old man turns out to be an old scientist friend of the girls, and he left the public eye some time ago, secluded himself, knows her father, and her father was recently ridiculed on television for some crazy experimental drug he had. And everyone said he was lying about it. We don't know anything about it at this point. They find inside the forest, after talking to the old man, what looks like an egg. And I'd argue about that it looks like an egg, because they clearly say it's an egg. But normally, to me, eggs don't have drills coming out. So, this egg gets taken back. Her father, Dr. Saigo, takes a look at the egg. And it turns out, it just turns out by chance that the egg has the right cells in it to finish his experiment. And so he starts putting that together. And at the same time, the mysterious kaiju named Mono attacks the city. Dr. Saigo is asked by the military to help defeat the monster. He reluctantly says yes since he was ridiculed by everyone, and pressures Mita into being a guinea pig for his mysterious drug. He's a very small, kind of scrawny looking guy, and he knows that Mita has a thing for his daughter. And Mita is into the big muscular men, and he's like, this will make you big muscular man. So after pressuring him enough into it, he does it, and transforms into a completely different actor. And given a special pair of briefs, they specifically give him briefs that can expand and decrease with him. They take time to say, we have created shorts that can shrink and grow with him. And that's for a reason. So Mita wrestles Kaiju Mono into submission, and once he goes back to normal size, he keeps the same altered body, and everyone treats him like a celebrity. Women all want him. The magazines are talking about him. He's on all these different news interviews and everything. And Miwa also hitting on him because she's very shallow. Later, and at the same time, while he's being showered with all this, there's this mysterious woman from the background who's watching him. They later discover that the egg might actually be from the giant kaiju attacking the city. So, smart idea, they decide to give the egg back to the kaiju since it's not dead yet. It just ran from the city. So they give it back to the kaiju, hoping that maybe it will leave. This does not happen. It becomes more aggressive for some reason and starts really rampaging. So Mita transforms again, but this time he gets taken out by a special new move from the kaiju, this mysterious toxin that comes off of it. So after he gets defeated, it turns out the entirety of Japan was shallow because they all completely demonized him in the news. They're like, he's a fake. They start making random sexual assault accusations on him for absolutely no reason. Just everyone is just dumping on him. At this time, since his fall from glory, the mysterious woman comes in, lures him to a hotel, and while he's distracted, steals something from him. It is later revealed in the movie that she took his briefs Not the serum, not any like part of the special stuff that makes you grow to 50 stories tall, but the briefs, because her boss wants to sell the secrets of the expanding clothing to America. Because insert obesity joke. And to be completely fair, the rest of this end of this movie gets a little confusing to say, to kind of go back and forth between, because a lot of random stuff happens. So after that happens, they try to figure out how to defeat the new toxin ability, and it turns out earlier in the movie they found this scroll that explained that Mono is pure evil. So when they gave the serum to Mita to transform, it was like, oh, he has to be full of good life energy, you know. So the only way to counter and withstand the toxin is to turn Mita evil. So and by doing that, the Doctor just creates evil. It's an evil cell, injects him with it, and at the same time, while he's creating the evil cell, Mita is trained by the mysterious old man from earlier in this crazy, like, just this fighting montage thing, like training under a waterfall, going all this stuff to learn this crazy technique that looks like it can slice through atoms. So Mita gets back to Mono for their final confrontation. He transforms, uses secret technique, does absolutely nothing. He gets knocked down. The Doctor takes his evil cell formula, transforms Mita this time into an evil wrestler. I mean, you know, completely changes. Does some crazy blows to Mono, seems to be winning. But out of nowhere, a talk show radio host that they've mentioned once or twice in the film comes out, who's apparently an actual talk show radio host in Japan. Well known, has been going on for 50 years. And explains that Mono is akin to a woman in her 70s. And he knows how to deal with older women. So they go through this process of basically taking the egg, because she's having like maternity blues, and does this whole thing to finally appease her so she can finally leave the city. The end. So, strengths of this movie. The design of Mono, I think, is pretty good, as you can see on the. Let's go back. Again, I wish I had. I'm sorry for the lack of visuals, but her design seems to be pretty good as a kaiju. It's not, you know, the most over the top thing in the world, but I think it's a little. It's got colors and everything on it. I think it looks pretty good for what it is. The sets look pretty good too. They seem to put some time and effort into making the miniature cities and everything like that. Some of the music is actually. I honestly thought I was listening to an older Showa Godzilla movie. There's like a lot of jazziness with it and everything in the soundtrack. I honestly think the idea of having the main character turn into just a giant like wrestler and that motif is pretty funny, and also like cost effective. You know, you only have to make one kaiju costume. And the jokes, there's a lot of potential in this movie. And I'm going to get back to that in a second. As we go into weaknesses. Now, the cast, I don't think the whole cast is terrible, but a lot of times they feel bland, like they're not completely into their roles. Like I said with Death Kappa, if you're more into the role, you get more into the movie. When the actors don't seem to be caring about what they're saying, you don't care as much. Even when it comes to comedy, you know, that's the same way. So, I think the writing, and it could have been from writing and directing, perhaps. And if that's the true case, then the writing and directing is bad. The shot, so I'm not trying to be like one of those guys, but watching like Death Kappa, there's a lot of times where they'll do different things with shots and everything. Like they'll do a quick cut here, this and that, and it helps with the comedy. Cuts from one thing to another. You keep energy. It makes certain things funny. Kaiju Mono is shot very like like a normal movie. There's not a lot of like anything going on. They're not focusing on anyone. They're not cutting from one thing to another to add to the comedy or anything. And I think that kind of takes away from some of the jokes. It's for the best, honestly. I'd rather save you all that. It just feels like they're not trying. When you can think of at least 3 different ways they could have said the joke better for every single joke, it's a bad sign. It's a really bad sign. And some of the things too that like they have the wrestling motif, but they barely use it. Like I thought of multiple things like, oh, there's obviously going to be a time where they go to like a power line section and like bounce off the power lines like ropes and do stuff like that. No. There's a couple times where they get up on a building and do like a flying jump attack on the kaiju, but they don't take the themes and they don't take the things they have and go with them anymore. Then, like I said, the subplot with the mysterious like briefs, that could have been really funny, but it wasn't, and it was like a waste of like 10 minutes of the entire movie. And then some jokes they don't call back. You know, they don't like say, "Oh, we built this thing up."
I have a question.
Oh,
Is that from the on the front of the package? Is that Kota Ibushi from NJPW?
is that a wrestler?
He's a real wrestler, yeah.
Then yes, probably.
Look just like him. Some of them.
No, it's all right. I thank you for mentioning that. I forgot to write that down. They're the 2 wrestlers that they use for the movie. They are indeed actual wrestlers. So that was another plus for the movie. Yeah, they were. I forgot to write down the names. Yeah, but unfortunately, they just don't use them. They don't use them to their full extent. And other jokes, they linger on for too long and they kill all the potential they had, instead of just making them quick and fast-paced. So, my conclusion for this movie is, I lost my conclusion for this movie is that Kaiju Mono is brimming with potential, and it obviously is made by people who understand what a parody is, understand what to joke on about, you know, the kaiju genre and everything, but maybe don't know what comedy is. And that's a problem when it's supposed to be a comedic movie. Let me double check. All right, so before, when I made this panel originally, this was going to be the end of the panel, but I was afraid of it being too short. It is just a tiny bit too short. So it was very good that I decided to check a 3rd mystery contender, and that is Monster X Strikes Back at the G8 Summit. So, another audience participation. Who here has seen Monster X Strikes Back?
More than last time. Woo!
Okay, cool. So I'm going to be very brief with this one. Actually, another question. Who here recognizes the monster on the front, Girara or Gilala? Okay, I'm still so surprised by that because it's only been in 2 movies, yet it's like everyone recognizes it from a lot of different places. All right. So yeah, so he appears at Monster X Strikes Back, and then an old 60s film called The X from Outer Space.
They showed that on Thursday night.
Oh yeah, it was at the Pickwick, right? Yep. I meant to go see it, but we had just driven for 14 hours and.
Talked about it yesterday now, actually.
Oh. Okay. So again, due to time, I'm just going to be real quick with this. So Monster X Strikes Back. During the G8 summit, which was like a summit between some of the 8 major nations of the world, talking political matters, they have this summit in Japan, of course, and of course, since it's in Japan, a kaiju comes out of nowhere and attacks, wreaking havoc. It's then up to the leaders to devise a plan to defeat the beast, while a plucky reporter and her sidekick cameraman might just find the answer how to defeat it. That's like a really brief, really brief summary of this movie, because it's not really, that's like the basic plot of it, because the rest of it is told in all the jokes and stuff. Throughout the whole film, the 8 different leaders, and I think it may be like, yeah, the 8 different leaders are all trying to form their own plans to defeat the kaiju. And they're all over the top. They're all ridiculous plans. They're all very stereotypical Let me see if this ruins that. Nope. Okay, great. Just to tell you a little bit more about this movie, I'm going to read off a couple of the names of our so-called leaders of the world. So the Japanese Prime Minister is called Sanzo Ibe, and I looked that up a little bit, and I can't find anything funny with that, unless I'm missing something. Well, there was a joke that our president, couldn't pronounce it and said IB instead. So, talking about our president, his name, they called him President Burger. But in the credits, it gets better because his first name is Earth. It's like, it's not even a try. Like, it's not John, it's not Steve, it's not like the most common American name you can name, just Earthburger. We have the Russian president called Beef Stroganoff Putin. The representative for Canada, Maple Syrup Harris. The French Prime Minister, Escargot Sarkozy. And the British Prime Minister, Meat Pie Brightman. And our Italian Prime Minister, Pisano Pietro. Pietro. That's the level of comedy in this film, I'll say that. All of them have some of the most ridiculous and stupid plans in the world for the kaiju. I'll give you an example. The Italian Prime Minister they all have these plans. The kaiju multiple times has shown that it has the ability to fly. It just pops into this bubble, whooshes around everywhere. His glorious plan, the glory of the Roman Empire, as he keeps saying in there, is to dig a hole, and that's it. They lure him in. There's no explosives. There's no net. There's no none that they dig a hole, they lure him in, he drops, and then they all celebrate. And I'm like, 5 minutes ago, you showed that he could fly. So there's that level of comedy in here. So, and another thing I really do like about this movie is it plays out actually honestly like a real movie, like honest to goodness kaiju movie. You can tell they care a lot about the genre. A lot of the songs sounded like Godzilla songs. They sounded like covers or renditions of different Godzilla songs. There's a certain chanting song that they use in one part that they summon a second kaiju at the end of the movie to help defeat our antagonist here. And it sounds just like King Kong versus Godzilla, like the chanting that they use when Kong is being summoned. And yeah, so there's the stereotyping in this film with our leaders. The actors and actresses also seem to be really into their roles. They seem to actually enjoy what they were doing. They gave good performances. They also all spoke their own native languages. There's the American actors and English actors speaking English. There was the Italian speaking Italian. Everyone actually spoke. And I think that also helped pull you into the movie. So my conclusion, my full-on conclusion for this panel is that if you want something pretty out there and pretty funny, I'd say check out Death Kappa. If you want something that feels like a real good kaiju movie and is like really true to the genre, I'd say check out Monster X Strikes Back. And if you want to see what not to do ever in a movie, or you want to torture someone, check out Kaiju Mono. And that's basically all I have. And if anyone had any random questions about the movies or anything, yes.
I have one question about the second movie.
Yes.
If the evil lady stole his pants, then what happened when he transformed to Big in the final battle?
So she gave them to him right before the final battle because that was one of the things he couldn't transform. He wasn't willing to go in the nude for the last battle. So that was a problem. And then she finally came around and gave the pants back. So yes.
I'm just wondering, when was this made?
I did not say that. Or maybe 2008.
Okay.
So a little bit older than the others. Yes.
Wait, didn't this movie also like use like stock footage? Yeah.
It did use stock footage from previous movies. Yes. And it's very clearly stock footage. Yes.
On the first movie, you know, when it starts with Shades, was that an unreleased sequel to Men in Black?
Was it a sequel to Men in Black, or like a joke on Men in Black?
Yeah.
I don't think so. It could have been, but maybe. Yes.
Do you have any honorable mentions of other parodies?
I would love it. I would love to have. I haven't seen many.
Okay.
These are the main three that I've seen. That I've always seen come up. And if anyone had any other recommendations, I would love to hear them. Know what they are. But I don't. I know. I'm the one doing the panel. I don't. But
Akiba
unfortunately,
Ranger's a good one. Akiba Ranger.
Akiba. I have heard of that.
Yes.
Yes.
It's super funny. It lands the jokes. It's great.
It's a joke off the whole like Power Rangers Super Sentai
Yeah, yes.
series on that. Yeah. Anything else? At all? No. All right.
What's the golden monster in the background of Monster X Strikes Back?
That is the heroic kaiju at the end, Take Majin. And they do a very crazy, over-the-top dance to summon him.
Does he have like magic golden powers or something?
Yes and no.
Wait, like it's also like his arms like disappears like it's like back arms like the little like.
Oh, you have. Yes, they do. At one part in the movie, he no longer has his 6 arms behind him for, no reason. Anything else? Yes.
Where do we find your stuff?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Give us some plugs.
I'm very bad at plugging myself. So
Do it.
again, I have been Professor Kaiju on YouTube. Just put in Professor Kaiju on YouTube. Professor Kaiju anywhere, you should find me. Like I said, I try to do comedic and entertaining reviews on things. I'm trying to get out more content as it is, and yeah, that's about it. I usually wear a lab coat and hat, but it is too hot in here. I don't feel like doing it. Yes.
I actually have an actual question. What are those on your desk? What are those for?
These are hopefully for my channel. This guy will be for an upcoming video about an anime called Gridman.
Oh yeah.
It's based off of the kaiju from there, and it's going to be a really over-the-top joke with that. And that is Kamada-kun, the first or second form for Shin Godzilla. Really bad.
Oh boy, yeah.
Is that?
And he's in your videos, right?
He is in my videos, yes. And that's about it. That's about all I had. So I know it's about 350 or 250. Thank you for coming to my panel. Thank you for bearing with me. Hopefully for my channel, this guy will be for an upcoming video about an anime called Gridman.